On this edition of Falmouth in Focus, Falmouth charts a course toward a greener environment and budget. Local arts and activities bloom with the spring weather, including a theatrical visit by Queen Elizabeth to West Falmouth. And Black History Month concludes with school art awards that celebrate diversity and resistance to injustice. This is Falmouth in Focus, and it starts right now. Welcome to Falmouth in Focus. I'm Michael Kasparian.
And I'm Eileen Preston. All that's coming up, but let's start with Falmouth's first ever sustainability coordinator, who was hired just 5 months ago. Since then, Stephanie Madsen has been hard at work in her mission to save the town money on energy while reducing greenhouse emissions. In her first presentation to the Select Board, she detailed how Falmouth is already realizing some impressive financial and environmental benefits.
My focus includes the following priorities: the Green Communities programs, to which we elected to participate in 2021. It includes energy efficiency projects and equipment electrification. Analyze solar installation potentials, including the solar we already own and operate. And then 3, working to expand EV charging stations for the public and municipal use. The Green Community Program aims to align communities with the state's goal to be carbon neutral by 2050. These programs prioritize energy efficiency and equipment electrification, while the grid transitions from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources. My responsibilities include annual reporting for energy usage and fleet vehicles, utility analytics, electric and gas, municipal and school buildings energy efficiency measures, competitive grant project design, and stretch code compliance. The analytical utility data coupled with energy audits a few years back allows us to strategically target projects for the Green Communities grants. Love showing this slide because when we started participating in the Green Community, we were offered a designation grant, and it was worth $188,000. But you can see from this chart that the projects that we implemented, mostly LED lights in schools, fire stations, and libraries, the total project cost was over $500,000. That's on the left column. The right column, utility incentives, you can see that National Grid and Cape Light Compact and Eversource offered over $385,000. The net cost to the town, $164,000, but that was covered by the Green Communities grants. So net cost $0 to the town. We have $23,000 left. We have the police department project in the works. The HVAC broke, so we're putting in energy efficient air source heat pumps. And we're working to get pre-approval for the North Falmouth Library to put in heat pumps to replace the gas furnace. These are the detailed specifics of what the project, the designation grant, has covered thus far. You can see there's a lot of LED lighting. We basically call it the lowest hanging fruit. It yields the most kilowatt hour savings per year and brings the most financial savings, annual relieving savings. We've already calculated the annual budget relieving savings for this Green Communities designation grant is over $68,000.
And you know, Michael, in addition to the $68,000 saved and the 2 new HVAC heat pumps, net cost to the town $0 going into the senior center and the water treatment plant. There'll be a new solar array on those roofs this year. Pegnoonium Park is about to receive a fast EV charger for the public's use. That's for an all-electric vehicle. And then the town is also working to install more hybrid chargers for the public all around town.
Oh, amazing. You know, we've had the pleasure at the Chamber of working with Stephanie, so I am familiar with that fast charger at Pegnoonium Park. Yeah. My question to you, is that the fastest available?
So far it is. 300 miles, 45 minutes to charge it.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. 300 miles. That's the distance the International Space Station can travel in just 1 minute. It makes a complete revolution around the planet every hour and a half. And you know, the reason I bring that up is because I just met someone who's headed up there very soon. Astronaut Sunny Williams is set to blast off from Cape Canaveral before the end of April. And just the other day, she was a guest of honor at Marine Lodge on Main Street. She presented a preview of her trip and of the U.S. role in an emerging space race that leans heavily on the private sector.
The Orion spacecraft that we were just talking about and built, we launched one, Artemis 1, with uncrewed and did a lap around the moon just to show that we have our guidance, navigation, control systems, understand how to get back to the moon. The next one will have a crew on it. The next one, Artemis 2, will have a crew on it, and we'll do this orbit around to the South Pole, not land yet. But what we're doing there is, one, we want to figure out with this other lander that I mentioned before, and more landers to land on the moon, geology, understand what's there, what resources are there, because there is a moon race going on. It's us and China right now. One of the reasons we really wanted to get that spacecraft to the South Pole to prove that we can do it and we know how to do it. And then secondly, we want to build something on the moon that will be sustainable to give us a role model how we're going to go to Mars once we end up going there.
While we look forward to a future on the moon and Mars, there's still plenty of reckoning needed here on Earth with a past that some would prefer not to acknowledge. Here in New England, it's fairly common to categorize the era of human enslavement as something that took place elsewhere. But researchers say there are deep and well-documented connections between slavery and Cape Cod's early prosperity. The nonprofit think tank Atlantic Black Box laid out the case at a recent presentation at Wacoit Congregational Church. That was just a small excerpt from the Atlantic Black Box event titled, What Happened Here? Researching and Reckoning with Cape Cod's Role in Slavery. It's running in its entirety on FCTV's cable and streaming platforms. Check fctv.org/watch to see it.
FCTV recently premiered its new documentary, A Legacy of Service at the JFK Museum in Hyannis. We gave you a little preview of the work in progress on Falmouth in Focus a few weeks ago. The finished product celebrated the determination and good humor of local Cape Verdean veterans who served in the U.S. military, all while confronting the reality of racial discrimination. Here's a closer look.
Thank you to Falmouth Community Television, Alan, for the work that you did and the work that you always do, from my show On the Road with Dave Vieira to our new show From Melting Pot to Salad Bowl that we're going to be starting in a few weeks, and to the Falmouth schools. I know the superintendent is here as well, who has embraced these messages and these projects, where every second grader in every elementary school in Falmouth goes to the museum to learn about their neighbors, their friends, our friends and neighbors, those of Cape Verdean descent. So congratulations, and let's watch the movie.
We are here not only to show mass humanities, expand Massachusetts stories, but to help the youth be proud of our legacy, because many of us weren't when we were kids.
That's one of the best films I've seen in a long time. Okay? I watch a lot of things about Cape Verde. That was excellent. You guys did a great job. I haven't seen anything that compares with it.
Still to come, a one-woman performance gets set to turn West Falmouth Library into a House of Windsor. And local students create art to bring the lessons of Black History Month alive.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies. Food can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Because when people are fed, futures are nourished. Everyone deserves to live a full life. And with your help, together we can end hunger. Join the movement at feedingamerica.org/act now.
The 20s roared again at Falmouth Library recently with a masterful performance by jazz trio The Modernistics. Pulling from masters like Cole Porter, Duke Ellington, and George Gershwin, the show got toes tapping with swing from the Great American Songbook. And FCTV is presenting the show in its entirety. Don't miss the chance to catch these cool cats on your favorite platform. fctv.org/watch is where you find out more.
Falmouth is getting a brush with royalty this month, in a manner of speaking. West Falmouth Library is set to host actress Cheryl Fay in a one-woman show, Her Majesty, about the life of Queen Elizabeth II. Depicting great women of history is no new thing for this actress. She does it all the time. FCTV caught up with her recently on Zoom.
You will feel like you have been immersed into Buckingham Palace, and I do that several different ways. I use a screen behind me, a rear projector and a screen. I interact with videos, with people on the videos, and we have Winston Churchill and Margaret Thatcher and many cameos, as well as a lot of voiceovers as well. And I always start as an adult and go back to the childhood and back to an adult again. You'll get a nice overview of the Queen in about an hour, which is no easy feat, because obviously she had just such a large life. But I've tried my best to kind of point out the highlights and show you really some of her personality. I currently portray 11 different ladies from history, like Helen Keller, Amelia Earhart, Laura Ingalls Wilder, Eleanor Roosevelt, Abigail Adams, Anne Frank, Susan B. Anthony, Clara Barton, Sally Ride, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think I got them all. Sometimes I miss one. I decided really from when I was a little girl that I wanted to be an actress, and I always loved theater. I grew up on Cape Cod, and I had an incredibly supportive mother who supported me all the way. And I went to Emerson College, received a BFA in acting, and I graduated and started working for a company that was based in Chicago that performed historical one-woman shows, because I also always had a love of history, thanks to my mother as well. I've been performing over 350 shows, roughly a year. So I'm grateful. I keep very busy due to word of mouth, and I'm so grateful to be a full-time actress.
Turning Point Dance Studio is teaming up with a local composer for a show called Dance Vibrations, set to take place March 22nd at Falmouth Academy. It's an experimental, interdisciplinary performance that will make the dancers come up with movements at the last possible moment. FCTV stopped by Turning Point for a preview.
I'm Laura Shortino. I am the owner and artistic director of Turning Point Dance Studio here in Falmouth. We are taking part, some of our dancers, in a live music concert with Julian Loida, professional musician, piano, vibraphone, kind of an experimental improv. You're going to see some dancers in pointe shoes using their ballet technique, but it's going to be more of a contemporary, modern improv. What you see will be different than what we might rehearse. How they are going to interpret it is going to be up to them that night. So that'll be a surprise.
I'm really excited because I've never done anything like this before. We're both learning the choreography, but we're not going to get to see each other do it at all. Yeah, you just have to watch each other and feel what everyone else is doing.
Julian will also be improvising with a lot of his music on the vibraphone. So we'll be coming together. I've always thought that music needs to be seen, not necessarily only heard.
I kind of think of as many possibilities as possible to kind of prepare, but at the same time, you really can't. I like to think outside the box. So outside of ballet, I try to bring in things that look weird, but then at the same time, it's like, maybe that's cool.
On Tuesdays and Thursdays at noon, St. Barnabas Episcopal Church offers free lunch and other assistance to anyone who shows up. And thanks to the Falmouth Cultural Council, lunch now comes with a treat for the ears and the heart. The program is called Music at the Table, and FCTV dropped by for a listen.
Everything is circle and change. Everything is circle and change.
We started offering meals on Tuesdays to anyone in the community that was hungry, no questions asked, and then that expanded to Thursdays. And we gave it the name A Place at the Table, because there's always a place at the table for anyone that is hungry. That is part of our effort to follow the teachings of Jesus. Now the program has expanded to where we're offering music as part of A Place at the Table. We call that Music at the Table.
Eileen and I were at the Falmouth Service Center, and one of the people I spoke to was homeless. And he mentioned that he walks from behind his camp behind a big box store in Falmouth down to Marina Park to hear the town band. And that was the only access he had to live music or any cultural programming. And it stopped in Labor Day. So I told that story to Eileen.
And we decided that it was time to think about what the Cultural Council could do to enhance music for people within our community that don't have access or easy access to it.
Oh, I'm doing my best.
For me, folk music is really about storytelling, and it's kind of stripping everything down to the basics. Folk music helps us ground, and it's music of the people by the people.
Music is important to speaking to the soul of people, and no matter what your station in life may be, music has a place. So we're glad to be able to offer music at the table as part of A Place at the Table here at St. Barnabas' Church.
Oh, everything's changed. We're still the same.
I'll see y'all. I got some batteries and 2 flashlights.
What's up, champ? I feel like you get taller every time I see you. Congratulations, Brandon.
Aspiring food growers have an opportunity this season to learn regenerative farming techniques in a hands-on setting, all the while helping to feed local families.
The curriculum is called Service Garden Sessions, and it's being put on by local nonprofit Farming Falmouth. FCTV dropped in at the group's service garden to learn more.
Garlic, wee little garlics. Last year, we grew on a 1/16 of an acre, 1 day a week with volunteers. This year, in order to grow the garden 4 times the size, we're kind of reaching out in different ways. One with our weekly grow-alongs, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but then a new series called the Service Garden Sessions, where I'm teaming up with the master gardeners and other educators to do a really intensive, all growing season long set of sessions throughout the growing season that focus on timely planning, planting, pest, disease, Q&A every month, really getting people up to speed. And we're going to do it at the service garden, which is a great example of all the things you'd want to grow in your garden, and it's a perfect teaching space. The sessions this year are going to go in chronological order of gardening. So seed starting, how to read your seed catalog, how to read your soil tests, what to think about, what planning you should do. And then the second one is going to be your bed prep, composting. Late May, so around Memorial Day, when all of the hot weather crops usually go in the ground. So we're going to have a whole session on transplanting. June is trellising, staking, pruning. July, which is pretty much when things really start to become harvestable, and we talk about like the do's and don'ts of harvesting, how you want to pick your tomatoes and when. August, we're going to be talking about fall, preparations for fall, what you can start seeding for transplants to go in fall, how you can think about getting your garden prepared for fall growing and even winter gardening. You get abundance when you know what you're doing. I find that the community spirit in these sorts of events is really high because people that dig growing are really usually really nice people and really fun to hang out with for that afternoon. So it feels like a good way to spend some time.
With spring gardens around the corner, those school snow days start to fade back in the rearview mirror. Way, way back in the case of a Falmouth school video project.
What was meant to be a basic snow day video took 6 years in the making, and now it's more like a piece of nostalgia. Ryan Weber brings us a closer look.
So back in 2018, we had an idea for a snow day video, which we were going to share with the community on the next time that we had a snow day. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had other plans. So 2018 and 2019, we had no snow days at all. There were some inclement weather days, but they weren't technically a snow day, so we didn't get a chance to share the video. And then COVID struck. So we had a year of remote learning, a year of any inclement weather day. We could just go to a remote session at that point. So we didn't end up using this video, and it had languished for a few years. And now in 2024, we kind of had our first opportunity to use it. And it's been a few years now. So it was a great thing, I think, to be able to share with the community. Kids have grown up quite a bit since then. Some kids have actually graduated and moved on and are now in college or in the workforce. But it's a great opportunity for people to be able to see themselves from a little bit of history at this point, but now looking ahead. And just generally, I think it kind of was a cute video the way it turned out.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
Surf drive is not so delightful.
We want all the schools to be closed.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Oh, it doesn't show signs of stopping.
We brought some corn for popping.
We just want to stay home. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
When we finally get home tonight,
I hate to go back to school.
would really be a delight.
If we got to stay up all night.
We're dreaming of a 5:30 all call.
Staying at home is a white squall. So begging you all pretty please. Let us know, let us know, let us know.
Okay, let's have a snow day.
The Woods Hole Diversity Advisory Committee wrapped up February's Black History Month with a traditional celebration of food and music called Harambe, and they awarded local students for their artistic depictions of African American role models. Here's a look at the artists and what they created.
I chose Jean-Michel Basquiat. I chose him just because I really like his art, and I don't know, I think he's a really cool artist, and I like what he stands for a lot. I did mine in the style of Andy Warhol, who was one of Basquiat's really close friends. He was just like this really big figure in the art world for a really long time.
He's a part of the African American neo-expressionism in the 70s and 80s, and he kind of paved the way for African Americans in the art community. I used a colored pencil, and I used oils as well.
It's a tribute to Alma Thomas, who was the first graduate of Howard University's art program, and she actually taught in public schools for most of her life and didn't get recognized until later on when she was, I think, around 80, and one of her pieces got put in the White House collection. She was actually the first Black woman to get a piece in the collection. She has a really interesting art style where she does like radial paintings, but also very linear because she uses rectangles. But I just thought she was really cool, and I based my painting off of a Woods Hole sunset, which I thought was fitting because it's Woods Hole.
I painted Rosa Parks using acrylic paint. She was a leader of the civil rights movement, and she refused to give up her seat on a bus for a white man. So I painted her sitting in the front of the bus, and I painted the bus in black and white to kind of represent the past. And then in the windows, I painted colorful patterns, kind of showing the movement she started towards color and like a brighter future for America. And the patterns are inspired by the artist Charles Searles, whose painting Celebration really inspired me. And so I took patterns from his painting and then put them in the background.
That's going to wrap up our show for the moment. I'm Eileen Preston.
And I'm Michael Kasparian. We'll go out with a little more music from the Modernistics. Until next time, we'll see you around town.